Welcome to the South African Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Terence Mentor, and I'm a digital marketer who's realized that since this industry is constantly changing, we need to be constantly learning. And to learn all the things, we need to be talking to the people who are doing all of the things. Today, we are talking about public relations and how it fits in with digital marketing. We're talking to Chantel Riley, who is the founder and owner of Midnight Fox, a PR agency working out of Johannesburg. I wanted to find out where digital marketing ends and PR begins, if there even is such a line, and really how to maximize on PR campaigns within your digital marketing strategy. Chantel was an incredibly energetic and knowledgeable guest, so I'm very excited for you to listen to this episode. Here we go. Here's Chantel Riley.
So I'm Chantel Riley. I own Midnight Fox, which is a communications company based out of Johannesburg. And what I do is I build brand loyalty and public perception for the clients that I work for through PR and digital marketing and PR. So that's really me in a nutshell. I can't expand, but
we're
like
gonna,
that, I
we're
can
gonna
talk
get
for
there.
days.
Don't worry. So I met Chantel a few years ago in my real job. This isn't my real job. This is just my fun job. I was really struck, Chantel.
The best job.
The best job. Yeah, exactly. The most important job. Second most important job after being a dad. Okay, that's getting into the weeds. But I was really struck by your enthusiasm for what you do. Like, you are very excited by getting messaging to the right people at the right time and making sure that everyone else is excited about what we should be talking about. So my first question is, isn't that exhausting? Don't you find that very tiring?
Yes and no, but I find that if you don't get people excited about it, then why should someone else be excited to receive the message? Like, if you're just being like, we're the best company out there and you should definitely buy our product, I'm going to be like, cool, I can't wait to rush out and get it. And I just find that if you are excited about it, if someone's nervous or they might not be sure what they're going to say or, anything like that, just by being almost like overly enthusiastic tends to calm them down because like they think someone's in control because clearly she wouldn't be this happy if she didn't know what was going on. And it just gets people to come out of their shells a little bit more that like, okay. This is not going to be so scary, hopefully. And it just kind of works that way. I do. It was one of the questions in one of the interviews was like, when I was working for another agency, they're like, don't you get angry ever? Like, are you just always happy and bubbly all the time? And I'm like, no, I get angry, but like a client will never see that. And like, you might have to just give me 5 minutes if like something's happened. I just need to walk over. And they're like, oh, okay, so you are human. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not the whole thing all the time. I would drive myself insane.
But it is something that I've seen with people who are in the public relations industry, that there is just a level of energy and enthusiasm that they like naturally exude. And it does seem to make sense, exactly what you're saying. If you don't have that excitement about whatever you're talking about, then the audience isn't going to get excited either. It's kind of the quote that I've been throwing around about AI produced works, and people are saying, well, if you're going to spend time using AI to make a movie or write a book for you, if you aren't excited to write a book, why should I be excited to read your book?
Exactly.
So it feels like it's a very empathetic kind of job. You're really kind of putting yourself in other people's shoes quite often. Where did you learn those skills? Did you always have that, or is that something that's trained into you?
So funny enough, if you ask my mom that, we actually have a photo of this. I was like 2 or 3 at the time. I just started talking, and they gave me an unconnected telephone so that I could have conversations with people because they were like, we're tired of having conversations. You talk too much. And I was an only child. So it was just like my parents and then me. And now they were like, yeah, unconnected telephone, phone your imaginary friends. And, so if you asked her, she would tell you I've been a people person from day dot, and just like really engaging with people, very empathetic, love to hear people's stories, love to hear like why they got into what they did or why they started doing that. And just I can like we have this thing in our family where we can literally start a conversation with a stranger in a shopping queue. Um, Sometimes it's a little bit concerning, like you're like, oh, wrong person to start a conversation with. But it's that kind of thing that you bring to PR. You've got to be a people person, and you have to be able to take the message of what you've got and then communicate it with someone else. And I actually studied marketing. I was really excited to go into the marketing field and be this creative person. And when I went for interviews for my first job, they were like, okay, you got to pick. You got to pick marketing and be creative, or you have to pick PR and be a people person and do some writing. And everyone was like, I really think you'd be better at people than you would be at creative. And I was like, that's kind of insulting. I thought I was quite creative. Um, but everyone's like, no, 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 no. You have patience. You can speak to people. It doesn't matter whether it's the office tea lady that you're having a conversation with or the CEO. You treat them the same, and not everyone knows how to do that. And so maybe it was that unconnected telephone that my mother gave me that kickstarted my PR career 42 years ago. Yeah, they were like, oh, we can't, like, I need a break from her for 5 minutes. Give her the telephone. There's a tip for you. If Charlie starts off being very like chatty, just giving him one of those old unconnected telecom phones is what I got in the 80s. So
That's probably a
give
great
him one
idea.
of those.
Knowing my youngest son's mother and knowing myself, he's going to be a chatty child. So he's going to need that phone. He's going to need the phone. It is interesting though that you're talking about having to make that decision between marketing and PR, because especially in the work that we do, there's so much crossover now. It feels between where does PR stop and where does the rest of marketing start? Isn't all marketing kind of PR in its own way? Isn't all PR some sort of marketing? Have you found that's happening more and more, where that's kind of that crossover, the roles are merging so much more?
So yes and no. I think there is definitely a synergy that needs to be there. And from that point of view, I mean, like, we're not going to have one message on marketing and a separate message on PR, because that's just, doing double the work and getting zero results. Whereas, like I said, back in the day, marketing was this creative and it was advertising and it was billboards, and it's still that. And it's still more focused on getting sales and selling products and services. Whereas PR on the other side is talking to the people, talking to the stakeholders, and building up their public perception. But where the amalgamation has come is you want the people to know, you want them to know the services, and you want them to buy. So I definitely think there's a synergy and we work better together. And yet there still seems to be this divide where companies are like, no, marketing companies shouldn't speak to PR and we're not going to include you in the meetings. And I'm just like, but we're all working for the same purpose. We're trying to get the best for your brand and build loyalty and get people to buy into what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service. So why shouldn't we be talking to each other? And especially if, like, when it comes to crisis comms and it's something that was put on a billboard, like, I definitely want to be talking to your marketing team about what was the thought process behind that, so I can help fix this problem in the media. So I think they do have their roles, but I think we would be better served working closer together.
I mean, it would be great to have a Chantel next to you all the time, just especially for me, who I'm constantly putting my foot in my mouth. Just like have someone nudge me, like you were saying earlier, just kind of nudge me in the show. No, we're not talking about that. Or before I go to an event or a social, a party or meeting some friends, just a list of talking points, things not to talk about, things to talk about. That would be amazing. I think I'd be a lot more liked if I had
avoid politics, avoid religion, weather's boring.
Yeah. By the way, Terence,
South Africa, we can't really.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know
no
what you're
load
talking
shedding
about
anymore.
Yeah. Avoid these topics.
Water shedding, that's a new thing.
Yeah. Don't talk about these issues that you actually have no idea about and actually have no opinion. You don't have to. You don't have to participate in those conversations. For a lot of people, I think PR in their minds equals press releases. So in fact, I think a lot of people, they think the words PR means press release, which if you don't know, that's not what it means. It's public relations. And with people getting so many emails, including spam emails and so many other messages on various platforms, are press releases still a useful tool in the PR toolbox?
They are, but you have to have the connections. And that's the most important thing for me, whether you're doing digital PR, digital marketing, traditional marketing, or PR, it's always about the connection. So I'm not just going to send out an email to a journalist that I've never spoken to before and hope that they use the press release. I'm going to make sure that I know their publication or their platform, because I'm not going to send them something about gardening, for example, and they're an energy publication. Like, that just shows you haven't done your research. Or I'm going to send, it's an energy publication, but they only focus on mining, and I'm going to send them about battery storage. So I could if it was battery storage and mining, but you kind of get the point. You have to know what they're interested in, what their readers are interested in. And especially in the age of Poppy, you have to have that connection. You can't just randomly message this person and kind of hope for the best. So press releases work, but I also think we need to be smart about how we do our press releases. So don't write 1,500 words and hope you're going to get it on the front page of business reports, because it's never going to fly. Like, it's got to be catchy and succinct and get the point across. And also, it doesn't have to be a press release. Working together, we do thought leadership, we do press releases. We're starting to do video content now where we just do short little 30-second, 1-minute videos. I've done for clients before where it's just audiograms, where we take a topic and we explain it in 30 seconds and we get that out. Why does it just have to be the written word? We don't just consume the written word anymore. So we need to make sure that we are fluid in how we are presenting PR. And it's not just a press release isn't just writing. It can be so many other things. And I think sometimes we get stuck in the PR means press release, and it has to be written, and it has to be at least 700 words, and this is the flow, and you have to, comment on this and this and this, and it's not like that anymore. Like, the way we produce content is changing, and as PR people and as marketing people, we need to change with that.
I mean, when I was working back in the day at the radio station, we would, I wasn't even in the newsroom. I wasn't someone that had editorial control over anything. And I would be getting press releases. Like, I would get between 10 and 20 press releases every day. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. Like, it looks interesting, but yeah. And if I'm like, oh, this is interesting, I'll forward it to someone who might know what they're talking about, or might need to know this. They're like, yeah, I've seen this like 3 days ago. Please leave me alone. So it does feel like that shotgun approach definitely doesn't work. And I mean, this is one of the notes that I had. Is public, like the work of a public relations agent, is a lot of that maintaining relationships, both with your client, obviously, but also with publishers, with influencers, with that kind of stuff. Is that a lot of your work?
It is, because you don't ever want to get into the position where you are just sending out press releases or whatever it is, and you send out 20 and you get 19 bounce backs because that person's left the media house. Like, how are you actually doing your job if you're not maintaining the relationship? Also, what I found is, as I grew in my career, initially I would be reaching out to the media and say, hey, do you want to speak to this client? This is the topic, blah, 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 blah. And as you get better known with the journalists and with the radio stations, they will have a topic and go, oh, you know who has a client, or who I know in the past has helped me get a great topic. I'm going to give Chantel a call and see if she has anyone. And that kind of helps me with my clients as well, because instead of me constantly going, please interview them, I'm getting the media to come back to me and say, I've got this opportunity. Do you have someone? And so it's that kind of push and pull relationship that we always have with the media. It's connections, whether I'm making a connection with an investor, with the clients, or with media. That's really my job. It's managing it's managing relations. It's in the word, not just the public side of it. It's relations and relationships.
And that's where the skills you learned as little Chantel on that phone comes into play quite a lot. It does kind of sound, if you think, if you know, talking earlier about how marketing and PR have kind of merged a bit. Marketing is often one to many. That's where marketing really does well, is when you're able to really scale up and get your message out to the thousands and hundreds of thousands, and if you're really good, millions of people. It does feel like PR becomes, it's a lot more focused. You're targeting this publishing house, or even this journalist within that publishing house, or this particular editor. Does that mean that you are spending a lot of your time in meetings, in conversations with people? What is that kind of day to day like? Is it, like we're saying, it's relationships take time. So are you spending a lot of the time? Is that kind of the work? Is in my mind, lunch dates in cafes and going for a jog at the coffee shop? And
unfortunately not. I think where I've come from, I mean, I've been in the industry for over 22 years, and it's been a process of building up relationships. And I definitely think, to more junior people in PR, I know it's the bane of our lives to do media lists and to phone and check if they're still there. But that's how you start the relationships. I mean, I remember when I started, I used to take notes as I spoke to media. I used to hate it. I used to hate phoning them, and I knew they hated hearing from me. Like, did you get this press release? What can I change? Blah, blah, blah. But I would make notes. So, Terrence's dog said that he's having a bad day because his dog is sick. So the next time I phone Terrence, I go, hey, how's your dog doing? Is everything okay? And it's making those relationships. And I know as a junior person coming up, it's a pain. You hate doing it. But it's benefiting me now because I don't have to spend all day on the phone. When a journalist that I've got a really good relationship with leaves a publication, they'll let me know and go, hey, I'm going here. These are my new details. Also, I find in the content that I'm creating, if I don't know a journalist well, I make sure I know what their publication is all about. And so when I pitch them a story, it's exactly what's going to meet their needs, and I'm filling pages for them. So you kind of start that relationship that way. I know a lot of people think it's very glitzy and glam and, what you see on TV shows, drinking cocktails on a Friday or Monday morning at 9 a.m. Some of them, I don't know. But there's different way of building relationships. And yes, you do the coffee dates and the lunch dates, but you also have to realize journalists don't have hours upon hours a day to sit with PR people and listen to them faff on about clients. They want to know, is the story good? Can you provide good content? Cool. This is going to be a good relationship. If not, we can move on. So as much as I'm busy during the day doing stuff, the journalists are doing the same thing. So yeah, the people that you're seeing sitting at the malls during the day are probably not PR agents and journalists. I hate to break the stereotype. But you go to networking events, and you meet people there. And I mean, I've even at church, sometimes you go to a different church. I've had this happen to me before, and they're like, introduce yourself to the person next to you. And I was sitting next to a journalist, and I'm like, hey, I'm in PR. You make connections wherever you are, even in the grocery store line. That's why you start conversation, because you never know who you're going to meet. It could be a new client, it could be a journalist who's going to help you, or it could be someone that you really don't want to talk to. You got to take the hits and see what comes out of it.
You got to roll the dice, and it does sound like you really do have to care about people, right? Like, you've got to care about what they care about, and if you can fulfill those needs and those wants, then you're going to have that relationship. I guess that's what it sounds like to me. Can we get into some nuts and bolts of actual campaigns? Because I've seen you in the wild. I've seen you actually do your work in real life, and it's very impressive. But the listener hasn't. So
Thank you.
Hypothetical company that neither we don't work for. And if my boss is happening to be listening, hi.
Our
boss, yeah. Hi. Okay, but hypothetical company, we're about to launch we're starting a huge marketing campaign. We know that we want PR to be a major component of it. We want great media involvement. We want people to be talking about it beyond just our own platforms. What things do we need in place before we start if we want to have that great PR campaign?
So I think first and foremost for me is spokespeople are key. We have to have a key person from the company who is comfortable speaking to also a variety of people, because media are different personalities, but they also may have to speak to clients. So we want to have someone who's knowledgeable, especially if we're launching a new product, that they can kind of answer any question without going, let me check, I'll come back to you. They need to be fully prepared, because they're going to be the person when we do a press release, a thought leadership piece, a video, whatever, that we're going to focus on. That's going to drive our message forward. So again, start with a person who can connect with our audience. Then once we have that person, let's make sure that the messages that we are putting out are correct, that we've got the right, that we're not lying about what this product can do or the service can do, that we've got key messages that will be of interest to our audience. Because if we're just going to say, oh, it's cool, our new product comes in a variety of shades of red, and our target audience prefers shades of green, we're not going to get anywhere. I know it's a silly example, but it's always right message to the right people at the right time using the right tools. That's what I work by. And then looking at, again, bringing in tools. So is a press release going to work? Or do we want to have a media breakfast event where we invite some of our clients? Is it a LinkedIn campaign? Is it a digital campaign that we're going to do online? Are we going to take out some advertising on radio, for example, during the high end, the traffic, that hour in the evening when everyone's stuck in their cars, they can't go anywhere, and they're listening to radio. Like, don't put it on at 2:30 when moms are picking up kids. Yeah, moms can listen, but they might not be the target audience that we're going to. So make sure that everything in the toolbox is going to work together to create that connection with who you're trying to connect with. And I think, press releases are great, but if it would serve you better to do an interview or to have an event where you're connecting directly with people, let's do that. Or if, we've seen with some of the campaigns that you and I have worked on where LinkedIn has been hugely, hugely successful with getting our spokesperson out to other people and getting the topic out to other people, and then getting it placed in media, because, some of the articles that we've written, we've shared with media. So it's all, like I said, it's the right message at the right time to the right audience using the right tools. And if you can tick all those boxes, and the way you get to those boxes, because I kind of figured you were going to ask that question next, is by looking at the data, by looking at what you know about people and looking at previous campaigns. So, okay, this campaign didn't work. Why didn't it work? Did we send it out at the wrong time? Did we send it out to the wrong people? Was it 1,500 words when it should have been 300 words, for example? Like, if we're spending money, are we spending it effectively and getting the results we want? What can we learn? And that's another thing that I've learned in PR is you can never just be like, this is the strategy for the next 12 months, and we're not moving from this. And I don't care if it doesn't work. This is what we're doing. And then we'll look at the end of 12 months and figure it out. No, if it's not working, fix it. Be fluid, change things up. Don't be afraid to go, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else.
I love that. And I think one of the big takeaways for me, as you were speaking, which, there's so many good bits of advice there, is ultimately it does take work. I think this idea that good press, good public relations, good attention on your message just kind of happens because you care about it. It's not the case. I find that that's often in organizations, people, because they care so much about it, they just assume that everyone else cares about it and will be talking about it. And that's really not true. And one of the things I was thinking about as you was talking is, are there examples in your mind, maybe not from maybe your own work or maybe PR campaigns you've seen elsewhere, that you're like, they've nailed it. Like, that is the PR campaign that I wish I came up with or I ran? Does any of that come to mind?
So yeah, I was actually thinking about in prepping for this. I was like, I haven't. It's more of a marketing campaign, and then I have suggestions on how they could do a PR campaign. But one of the communications campaigns, let's call it that, because I don't like splitting them up.
Mm.
But a company that I think is doing it exceptionally well at the moment is Pineapple Insurance. Um, their billboards are fantastic. I'm exactly their target market, and maybe that's why I think
It's working.
I'm that millennial that's got the cell phone box from 4 phones ago. That is the family IT expert. My favorite one is the husband, 2 kids, and picket fence, looking more like roommates, dying plants, and a dorm room or whatever it is. And I'm
That's
like,
it.
yeah, that
Yeah, it hits true.
yeah, and then like they've done now with the holiday messages, like it's not you, it's me. I'm taking a break, or I shine different in the Belito sun, or like beach and like they're really smart in the way that they communicate, and they are hitting their target market. Uh, I haven't seen much in media. I've seen people talking about their billboards in media, but I haven't seen people talking about what they offer in the media.
Interesting.
And so I was like, well, if I had to give them PR advice or how they could extend this, I mean, it's Valentine's Day next month. So why aren't we talking about interesting things that people insure, over Valentine's Day, or run a PR competition through their socials that like we will ensure your bad dates so that you don't get a bad date. We'll ensure it doesn't happen, and do like a blind dates kind of love at first sight with pineapple idea, you know. So I haven't seen a lot of. You either see really good marketing, and if you're seeing really good PR, it's appearing as articles written in newspapers or publications or platforms, and you're not supposed to see that it's good PR because it's supposed to see as journalistic integrity, and it doesn't have my name written underneath it. It's got whoever the journalist is.
Interesting.
So it's a little bit more difficult to see if a PR campaign has been as successful. But if you marry the two and you've got that synergy working together, maybe you can do a little bit more on digital. And that's what I love about digital marketing PR, because you get so much data out of it, and you can use that data to better future campaigns and strategies. Whereas, in the past, you're like, oh, it was in business reports, it was seen by X amount of people. And, back in the day, we used to measure PR success by something called an AVE, which was an advertising value equivalent. And basically, what that meant was if you got a full page in the business reports, if you took out an advert, it would cost X.
Right.
And so it's worth whatever amount the PR company, because there's no standard. So some PR companies is like, it's worth 10 times that amount. Some are like, it's worth 4 times that amount. So they don't actually, when you look at PRISA, the Public Relations Institute of South Africa, and their awards, they don't judge award-winning entries on media coverage and AVE anymore because there isn't a standard. It's got to be, what impact have you made on the brand? How have you increased public sentiment? How have you changed people's perceptions about things? It's about those connections, and people are seeing that more and more. So if you've done a really good PR campaign, you're most likely not going to realize that it's actually a PR campaign.
That is so interesting, that idea of that from the outside, we shouldn't know that there's a PR campaign going on at all because we are the public that are being related to. So we should just feel that, oh, just for some reason, I feel like I'm talking about this message is kind of around it's in my life. It's in the conversations we're having. I heard a radio presenter talking about it on air the other day. Then I read it in a news article. Although to be fair, I don't read news and I don't listen to radio. That's all hypothetical. Or even, my favorite podcaster happened, like the one episode was about that. So this could be a PR activity for PR, what we're doing right now. And our listeners would never know. Whoa, we became really meta.
Whoa, Inception. PR Inception. I like it.
Thank you so much to Chantel for giving us her time and wisdom, and a big thank you to you for listening to this episode of the South African Digital Marketing Podcast. You can get in touch with Chantel on LinkedIn. I'll put a link to her profile in the show note. If you listen to the show on Spotify, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you in the app. Otherwise, you can send your thoughts, questions, and opinions to podcast@tmdigital.co.za. That's podcast at T for Tango, M for Mother, digital.co.za. And of course, if you really want to make me happy, please don't forget to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast wherever you listen. Thank you so much. This was the South African Digital Marketing Podcast.